we're talking about creating a thriving photo management business in a rural community. Now we'll talk about you don't have to be in a rural community, but there are many people who wonder about this in a rural community. So that's something we will address today with our guest speaker with us. But I'm excited here to answer these questions for you that I know so many people have because I've been doing this for many, many years. But people wonder, like, how can I start a business organizing someone else's photos when my own photos aren't organized? Or I don't really understand, what does a photo manager actually do? And how can I learn whether or not this is the right business for me? And how do the photo managers support me along the way? And whoops, she didn't update this slide, but today you'll meet our special guest. It is Tammy, this time with us. And so my name is Cathi Nelson. I'm the CEO and founder of the Photo Managers. I'm also the author of 2 books, Photo Organizing Made Easy, Going from Overwhelmed to Overjoyed, and a business roadmap for professional photo organizers, like how to start a business, what are the needs, and I co-authored that with Jill Yesko, who's been a longtime member and also a residential organizer and a senior move manager. But before we go any further, I want to root us in the why. Why is this important? Why is there a need for professional photo managers? And why would you even consider organizing your own photos and videos? I often tell people the idea of organizing photos is like watching paint dry, right? There's nothing sexy, exciting about it because it's not the why. It's just the how. It's what we're doing. But the why is because each of those photos has a story, a memory, a connection, a feeling, historical information, and so much more, right? We take photos, we take videos to tell the stories of our lives. We save our kids' artwork, our baby's first steps, a favorite blanket, your grandmother's treasured teapot, because they connect us to our history, to our family, and to our memories. And today we just have way too many of them, right? We have way too many printed photos and slides and negatives from the past, trapped in fading albums and boxes and bins. We also have old home movies on formats that we can no longer view. Who has a VCR or a camcorder anymore? Our digital collections, let's just be honest too, those are a complete mess, right? No one wants to weed through all those photos to find the few that really matter. And that's what the photo manager does for their clients, or you will start doing for yourself. So here are some interesting updated statistics to know why there's job security here. According to Matic Bras, the photo tutorial, all of humanity takes 5.3 billion photos every day, or 61,400 every second. That's about 1.94 trillion in 2004. So those numbers are staggering, right? I can't even begin to grasp the number million, hardly a trillion. It's not even in my, it's meaningless, right? But if you ask people what's the one thing they'd be most upset about losing in a flood or a fire or in a data crash, it's going to be their photos, right? And it's not the 5.3 billion photos, but it's going to be the handful that showcase the stories of their lives. Okay. So what series of photos, videos, or letters would you be most upset about losing? Here's an example about how photo managers bring photo memories back to life. This is a photo of my husband and his family on the left. Every summer, his parents would load them up in an old station wagon without AC or seatbelts and pull a trailer to see the different national parks in U.S. states. He's the baby. We did the same 35 years later with our kids and had that little sign there that we showed them. And the third generation is carrying on that tradition. So my nieces and nephews, who are the children of those kids standing there, are doing that now with their children. And so this is just an example of how you can tell a story with just 2 photos. This probably tells you something about our family, the values, the things that we care about, right? And we're able to do it with just a few photos. So what photos would tell your story, and what would you be most upset about losing? In fact, there's a favorite quote that sums up the work of photo management from Ursula Guin. There have been great societies that did not have the wheel, but no societies that did not tell stories. We are a people of stories, and today, again, we tell our stories through our photos and videos and keepsake items. So now, before we get any further, I'd love to introduce you to Tammy. She's going to share a little bit about her story and the fact that she lives in a remote area. And you can learn more about Tammy through her website there, her Instagram, Facebook, and her LinkedIn. So Tammy, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got interested in photo organizing and photo management.
Thank you, Cathi. Yes, my background. Well, I would say my 2 previous jobs that I had prepared me for being a photo manager. I worked for almost 24 years for a professional association, medical professional association. everything and anything with that. And my boss was notorious for coming in and saying, the board wants us to do ABC, so we need to give this to the board. So we need to figure out how to do that. And his we meant I needed to figure out how to do that. So he was always very ahead of his time. He was very progressive with software and technology and things like that. But he also turned us loose and said, figure it out. So my problem solving skills came from working for nearly 24 years with the medical association. And then I went from the medical association, which to a quality improvement organization. And it's interesting that the medical association actually established the quality improvement organization 40 years prior, but went to work for there, worked directly with the CEO, the management teams, had a seat on the leadership team. And she gave me the confidence and the go ahead to start a worksite wellness program from the ground up. So becoming certified in worksite wellness, you know, doing challenges, working with 4 different time zones. And we actually had an employee survey say that the worksite wellness program improved morale. So she gave me the confidence to move forward and to try new things, to try all these new things. And my husband and I were talking about, what do we want to do when we retire? Because at this point, we're already, I think we're at like 28 or 30 years of working. And so we knew we would come to a rural area, and I knew I wanted to stay busy doing something of service. And at that time, we were both inheriting boxes of photos from our parents, our grandparents, and our friends were kind of in the same boat. We're all along the same similar age. And it was something that it was a service, because everybody we talked to were like, what do we do with all these photos? We have no idea what to do with these photos. So that's where I had Fridays off at that time, and I sat and I Googled, you know, scanning photos, whatever, found the photo manager page, spent several Fridays figuring out a business plan, how I was going to do this, what I was going to do. And that's how my photo management business started, because I needed something that I could provide as a service, keeps me busy, but that I could do in a rural community.
Wow. And what year was that? Because it's been a number of years now.
When I first started, let's see, I joined the photo managers, I think in 2019.
Okay.
So back that up, but that's, yes. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how it started.
Well, now, so you live now in a rural community. I think you have a great website. I was talking about that with you earlier, that I've watched Tammy over the years, understand who our ideal client is. So tell us a little about who's your ideal client and how that works for you in a rural community as well.
Sure. So my ideal client are rural families. Montana is a very rural state. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but Montana just hit 1 million population within the last probably 5 to 7 years. So I knew that coming to a small community, that rural families were going to be my target audience. And people with rural roots and our agricultural families really understand legacy. They understand legacy, they understand the importance of it, the succession planning. And I knew that those were the people that I was targeting towards, because they're not going to just hand off their priceless photos, journals, things like that to anybody. I had, you know, you're building that relationship with these rural families.
And so what's a typical project look like for you?
So a typical project is photos, boxes of photos, or scrapbooks, memorabilia, things from the previous generations, journals from, could be weather journals. Ranchers and farmers watch the weather multiple times a day. So it's very important to their success. So there's always a lot of journals on what's happening outside.
Wow, that's fascinating. Um, yeah, that makes sense, right? And also, I know home movies, right? You do a lot of converting of digital media, like VCRs or camcorders, right?
I do a lot of, in fact, for a couple of years, that was the majority of my business was home movies. And it was so great because a lot of them were ranching families that did, rodeo or whatever. And I had one in particular, and she was so excited because she got to hear her grandpa's voice.
Yeah, that one other
Yeah.
question I want to ask before we couple more before we move on, and I take people through the different things. What is it that you love most about what you do in the at the end of a project?
Oh, what I love most, I love I love when I can give peace of mind to my clients and they can see everything that they have organized, it's safeguarded. They can watch their home movies, whether it's on projector or however they want to do it. But it's seeing the joy with them that they get to rekindle those memories. They get to relive them.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how has being a member of the photo managers helped your business?
Oh gosh. I would say with all of the trainings, I didn't know where to start. I didn't have any idea how I was going to scan a picture, do anything. So the photo managers really gave me the foundation of at least the basics that I needed. And then I participated with the master class, the business foundations, things like that to help build a successful business. So yeah, the photo managers gave me the foundation to be able to be where I am today. And I'm constantly learning. I mean, there's constant education, there's constant, I mean, we have a network of colleagues that I can text in a matter of minutes where I'm stuck and can get an answer or help or whatever. So we have this huge network of colleagues that are more than gracious with their information and their time.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, wonderful. Thank you, Tammy. And again, if you have questions for Tammy, go ahead and put them in the chat, and I'm going to continue on here. And we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. And I think it's important that, this business thrives in both rural communities, mid-sized communities and big cities, right? So it's not just everybody has too many photos and not enough time to know what to do with them, right? So if you're wondering, we offer three different membership options. One is called Photo Manager and Training. That's ideal for those of you who just want support getting your own photos organized first and you don't know if this is a business for you. The other are people who know they want to start a business. So we're going to go through the different levels in a moment here, but here's a quiz that can help maybe you kind of narrow this question down for yourself. Answer true or false. My own photos aren't organized yet, but I'd like to start a business helping others organize and preserve their photos, videos, and keepsake items. I'm focused on just getting my own photos organized right now, and I don't know if I want to start a business. Number three, I already have a business. Maybe I'm a residential organizer or a senior move manager, and I want to expand my services to include photo organizing, but I need help. How do I price myself? What are my workflows? How do I have an operations? How do I run a business efficiently? Four, I want to earn meaningful and creative income, whether part-time or full-time, helping others with their photos and memories. Five, I like to fully understand what I'm offering before confidently talking about my services to potential clients. Six, I'm the kind of person who, once I commit to something, I prefer to dive in and just get started right away rather than waiting. Kind of like Tammy, who put her Fridays aside, right? Seven, I feel overwhelmed by the variety of photo storage options. There's iCloud, Google, Amazon, Dropbox, and I just need to figure out what's best for myself and future clients. Eight, I'm curious, and even though technology can sometimes frustrate me, I'm eager to learn by researching solutions online or asking for help. And nine, I have a busy schedule and I'm still deciding whether to focus on my own photos or to start a business. So if your answers were mostly true, you are a perfect fit for our professional community, and I'll talk about that in a minute. If your answers were false, then you really should check out our photo manager and training program. If your answers were maybe, or you still don't know, our photo manager and training program might be a good fit for you to start. So the good news is though, is whatever level that you start, you can upgrade at any time. So for instance, if you start at our photo manager in training and you decide, you know what, and we've had many members do this, I really want to upgrade to the professional level, we will seamlessly prorate the investment you've already made. So we're not going to charge you a double payment. We have a Excel spreadsheet and we know if you've been a member of the photo manager training for 6 months and you want to upgrade, we have like our little sheet and we know what the difference in price will be. So you're not locked into any decision that you make. So here's a quick overview of what our photo manager and training program is. It's a 1-year guided journey designed to help you master the skills of photo organizing while discovering your potential to turn it into a business. You'll gain access to a number of our online courses, printed and digital photo organizing, some monthly email props, a handful of skill building webinars, and you'll be able to connect with your peers in a private Facebook group. You'll also be able to join our interactive co-working event led by Terry Winfield. She's a professional photo manager and she loves this group so much. This is her 2nd year now where she'll join you in that. And you'll get some exclusive discounts. You can speed this up. You don't have to take some people say, well, I don't have to take a whole year. Well, you don't. We just know how busy people are. And we actually thought this was going to be a 1-year program until the end of, we started this last January. And then in December, all these people wanted to like extend their membership. So we do give you a reduced rate. So if life gets in the way, things happen and you don't go through the whole year, you're welcome to actually, join again for the 2nd year. But that's what our photo manager in training is. And the cost for that is $329 for a year. So you've got, again, these 2 printed photo organizing made easy course, how to scan photos, slides, and negatives. You have our guided curriculum, some interactive events, our training library, support and accountability, and discounts. So that's our photo manager in training. Now, our mission statement for our professional level is that the photo managers is the global industry leader, empowering our members' businesses to best serve the diverse needs of their clients. Our professional community right now consists of over 700 members who have all been right where you are right now, wondering if this is the right time in business for them. And we know your questions, right? Who hires a photo manager? How much can you earn? What are the top services? And we now have some answers through a survey we did. I won't go through the whole thing, but I'll give you a quick overview. And of those 700 members, we do have members throughout the world. So Canada, Australia, Europe, South America, not huge numbers, but a growing core little communities that are working really closely together, which is really wonderful. Our Australia group is doing a in-person little mini fall of conference. No, I think they're doing it in June actually. And then our Europe group will be doing their 3rd little meetup group in the fall. So here's just some, in last April, we had 571 photo managers completed this, actually 55% completed this survey rate. What we found is most of our members are college educated women age 40 and older. We do have more and more men joining every month, so it's not strictly women, but right now we're still predominantly probably about 85% women. They live in the US, Canada, Europe, Australia, again, with other countries joining regularly. 66% work their business full-time or part-time, while 33% pursue it as a side gig or a retirement career. 25% of our members are new in the business, while 20% have over a decade of experience, indicating that there's a lot of career longevity. Most professionals report 2 to 3 new clients per month, and this is a really key number I thought was really interesting. 80% report repeat business. That's a great number when you've been at it long enough that you start to get those repeat clients, because guess what? We keep taking photos or people find things. So in your first year or two, you're not going to have that probably heavy repeat business, but the longer you're a photo manager, the more people will come back to you. The most requested services and profitable reported were print photo organizing and scanning, digital organizing, and photo book creation. Most projects took between 2 weeks to 2 months to complete, with 26% of those exceeding 20 hours. The people who hire professional photo managers really mirrors a lot of who our members are. It's mostly women 45 plus, though men tend to be the ones who bring the home movie conversions to the table. So that's just a quick overview from the survey. And we have a new survey that we just got all the results from, which mirror this a lot. And we have a little bit more in depth, but I think this is really helpful in terms of understanding who the photo managers are. So what we have what we call our 4 core deliverables. This is what this is what I think about all the time, is how are we providing education, community, access to different companies, products and services, plus credibility. So we believe that education is really what sets us apart. It's the gold standard of membership. Every month, we host different training webinars with subject matter experts, and you'll have full access to our on demand core curriculum. So that means when you join, you'll have organizing your clients' printed photos taught by Sandra Williams, an expert, a professional photo manager. You're going to organize your clients' photos very different than your own. So you're not going to be caught up in that nostalgia. And everything that we teach is about efficiency and good workflow, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel every time you're starting a project. We also have our photo organizing, the basic building blocks of digital photo organizing, our photo organizing business foundations course. If you've never had your own business, that's a whole nother part of your brain that's going to be working different than the actual work of being a photo manager. When you have your own business, you need to set up bookkeeping, you need to have a website, you need to figure out how do you price yourself, how do you find clients. So we have a whole course that you could go through that really walks you through that. Also, how to scan photo slides and negatives. And coming soon is our guidebook for home movie conversion. Like Tammy said, she had never done any of this. And so she has built a very successful business, converting digital people's home movies and VCR tapes and things. And a lot of our members have taken that project on. So we have new training coming out about that. So again, training is a key part of it. Community is the next most important part. I believe firmly, and if you're a member, you'll hear me say this over and over again, a rising tide lifts all boats, and we are collaborative, not competitive. And we build community through the following ways. You'll immediately be introduced to your regional leader, and they will welcome you to regional meetings that are optional to join, but we have them. And we're so small that we don't have like state regions. The Northeast meets together, the West Coast will meet, all of Europe meets. We have a private Facebook group, which is like your 24 hour, 7 days a week support hotline. People answer questions so abundantly. It's amazing what if you're never going to get stuck. I always tell you, if you're with a client and they bring a photo you've never seen or a tape, you can quickly put that out there and people will answer right away. We're also looking to move that away a little bit from Facebook towards a more private sharing program called Circle. So we'll have more about that. We do monthly networking meetings. We have a mentorship program I'll talk about in a minute. We have roundtable conversations and just an amazing community of people who just want everybody to be successful. So speaking of our mentoring program, this is something new we implemented in the past 6 months or so, and it's been very popular. We used to have one-on-one mentors, but we had like a long waiting list. So what we've done now is you can join and get a mentor. You'll be put in a small group with 3 to 4 other members, and you will meet with a pro, like say if it was somebody like Tammy or whatever. I know Jody's here and she's been a mentor 6 times over 3 months in a small group. And the goal of that is for the small group then to continue building a relationship together. We can't guarantee that's going to happen, but we do know that being a solo entrepreneur is lonely. I'm by myself. I said to my husband as he went off to work today, today's one of those days when I realize I work alone all day because it's gray, and it's been gray for many days, and I just would love to see some people. So having having peers around me that I can text, like Tammy said, or reach out to, makes such a difference in having your own business. We also have great list of partners. These are companies that partner with us to offer significant discounts. We have become, I always tell these companies, the photo managers are not going to increase your sales of your product, but we're going to help you know if you're building a really good product. For instance, Tammy mentioned a company named Projector. It's an amazing company. They came to our conference, I think 2 or 3 years ago now. He had this great idea about how to stream your home movies like Netflix. But working with our photo managers, he has improved that product significantly because of our expertise. So these companies love to work with us, and we have an extensive list of companies that have become partners with us, including some new ones that we're going to be announcing in the next week. And then last of all is what we call credibility. Certification is something that is really important. I always had certification in place from the early years of starting the Photo Managers, which has been over 16 years now. This year, though, we just launched our new comprehensive certification program. It includes best practices for printed photo organizing, digital photo organizing, scanning, video conversion, photo restoration. And it is normally $399, but new members will save 50%. It takes time to become certified, but once you're certified, you'll be listed on our search directory, and we're working on improving that as well. But certification is optional. You do not have to become a certified photo manager, but if you're serious about your business, it is something you'd probably want to invest in, and it'll really increase your credibility and also your own confidence. So our cost for pro membership is either it's $649 for the year, or you can pay quarterly for $195. It includes everything I mentioned, Plus, on the education side, all the training that we've ever done is in a training vault. So if you're not missing out like on a course on how to add metadata or, how to what kind of contracts should we use or what kind of insurance do you need? All of that's there and it's available as on-demand training. And then all of the courses that I mentioned. So that is, then we have this third, we just launched this in January. It's called Photo Manager Pro Plus. This was for people, we noticed over time that people were, once they got started, they really wanted to kind of accelerate their learning very quickly. So this is for people who you're really serious. You're committed to profitability right away. You want to grow and scale, and you want to shorten your learning curve. This course, this level of membership includes a course called DPO Pro. It's taught by a very experienced member, Carolyn Gunther. She takes you through the three top programs on the market: Photo Mechanic, Apple Photos, and Adobe Lightroom for digital photo organizing. And you'll really go from knowing nothing about digital photo organizing to be very confident taking on major jobs. This course is included now in our membership at a discounted price. She sells this course separately outside of the photo managers, but we've kind of bundled that with a discounted price from her. In addition to what we call our business operations bundle. Having operation manuals, standard operating procedures is really essential to having a very profitable, successful business, but it's pretty overwhelming to create one. So we have a professional photo manager who had created an extensive standard operating procedures. We purchased that from her, and you would have access to that, and it's all editable, so you can add your logo, change your information, and that's included in this level of membership. So the cost for this is going to be $1,479, but you're saving over $975 instead of buying these things professionally. At which point then you would go back, though, that would be the one-time payment for the first year. And then next year, when you renew your membership, it would just be at our normal $649 a year, or you could join, you could renew at the quarterly level, whatever works best for you. So again, if you're looking just to organize your own photo collection for your family and friends, maybe just start with Photo Manager and training. If you're ready to start a business and earn income, join our pro level. And if you're that person who wants to jump right in, scale a profitable business, invest right away, and don't want to have any additional fees later down the road, then our Pro Plus level is for you. But our mission is to help you wherever you are. So don't feel like if you're unsure, we're happy to answer more questions like that. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are thrilled to, we have a lot of training if you haven't discovered our YouTube channel yet, but that's a great place to hear from other photo managers, learn a lot of different tips and tricks about everything to do with photos, videos, and things like that. And because everybody needs a special offer, we do have some offers if you join. I think we have a week, you'll be getting an email reminder of this, but if you join at the Photo Management Training, you get a copy of my best-selling book. If you join at our professional level, we'll give you free 3 of our form bundles, which people really are interested in having. It includes our photo organizing contract, an album making questionnaire, and a scanning project log those would cost additional. And if you join at our Plus, we have an amazing privacy training course that's taught by Heather Nickerson. She's a cybersecurity expert. Many of our members have gone through this. It was a light bulb moment for all of us when she spoke at our conference in Orlando, and we all realized we didn't know enough about privacy issues. This will help protect yourself from data breaches, identity theft, and you can actually take that training and then expand it to helping your clients. The course is updated every year because things change, and there's also quarterly meetings. You can also purchase that on your own individually, even as a solo person. We have that available in our academy. So I think that is it. I am now going to come back on, turn my video back on and stop sharing. And we are ready to answer your questions. Isabel will kind of read them off. And again, if you have questions for myself or for Tammy, please ask away. We're happy to answer.
Perfect. So we do have a few questions. Tammy's been great at answering some of them in the chat already, but I will repeat some of them for the sake of the recording. So the first one is, not sure if this is a question for Tammy or not, but Leanne does digital scrapbooking for her family and likes to put video snippets with QR codes on her pages. She stores those on YouTube. Is that a safe place to store them? She feels like YouTube will be around forever, but is that naive?
Ooh, that's a big question. Tammy, you got an answer for that?
Yeah, I'm more curious about how long the QR code's going to be live than the video. Um,
Hmm.
because, you know, if you change your QR code program, or do anything different, that code doesn't work anymore. Um, I don't do that. I don't do a lot. I use QR codes, but I don't use them for that type of a purpose. But I do know that there are colleagues that do, and that would be a great question for inside the Facebook group, because I know there are colleagues that have experience with that.
And I would say, one of the best practices is redundancy. So, Leanne, that's a great idea, and I think it's wonderful. Will YouTube be around forever? I think it's safe to not. I think it's important for us not to make any assumptions that anything's going to be around forever anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just that there are just factors that look at TikTok, or like who, right, we don't know what factors are going to come into play, but I do think so maybe having making sure that those video are also stored on an external hard drive that's in your possession, so that you have access to them either way. So if for some reason that goes away, then you'll at least not have lost, especially if you're curating them, because that takes time. Those little videos, right, it takes a lot of time to edit a small. We take so much video, right? So um
And then there's a couple of sort of logistical questions about Tammy, you being in a rural area and working with sort of clients that might not be very local. And I can say I certainly feel that living in a rural area too, just to go shopping. It's a bit of a ride to get anywhere. So there was a question in terms of, do you ship or do your clients ship their memorabilia to you if they're further away, and what is that process like?
So yes, I do have clients that do ship items to me. I have found, though, in my experience, most of my clients want a personal handoff, because they haven't they haven't curated their memories to this point, because they don't want to ship it. They don't want to take that chance. So I travel a long ways a lot of times to pick up projects for my clients. I do have people that are comfortable with ship items to me, and then I will return their originals when it's done. But I will, one practice that I do is their originals are in their own box, and the backup copy is in a separate package. So it's more shipping for me, but they're in two separate packages. So if one is lost, not everything is lost. So that's my best practice for how I handle when people ship me their contents. But I travel. I mean, I worked with a client starting in January, and just last week met with them to pick up their contents because of weather or schedules or nasty roads. And that was the first time we could meet. So, but she was a 2-hour drive one way.
Yeah, and speaking about driving, there was a question in terms of how far are you willing or able to travel to work with a client? You mentioned that you're traveling 6 hours one way for one of your clients.
Yes.
So there's a couple of questions there in terms of, do you require that the time with the client is a decent amount of time to offset that drive time, or do you consider staying overnight? And how do you price that out when you're driving so far?
You know, I am probably an anomaly, but when I travel to pick up clients' projects, I usually don't charge them. So I'm kind of an anomaly on that, because everywhere in Montana you have to drive. I'm 45 minutes from Walmart. I'm probably 20-30 minutes from pavement. So we have to travel in Montana. So I typically don't, but there is the one that found me on my website, and she found me and she wanted me because you're rural like us. That was what she said. So I am traveling for her, but I will go through a town where my mom lives, and I will count that as a visit to visit my mom. And I will meet with her. I'll go back to the town where my mom is at, have my eye appointment, and then I'll drive 4 hours home. I mean, I just tie it all together to meet with these clients, you know, they're reaching out to me, and they're at the point where they're at, you know, they're at extreme overwhelm, and they just want to plan, and they want to hand it off, but they want to hand it off to a person.
Yeah. And
And
again, like Tammy said, you know, she may be each business owner has their own, you know, so we would definitely, if we interviewed a different member, you know, we would have very different answers. So again, it's your business and you get to make your choices that work best for you, and understanding the community that you live in. Like Tammy said, it's probably here and where I live in a more urban area, people would not expect, they would expect to probably charge that I would charge for like an hour and a half drive. But in where you live, when you drive 45 minutes to Walmart, it's probably the expectation that you wouldn't, I would think. Yeah. So.
and Tammy, are you getting most of your clients from your website or more word of mouth?
That's really a toss-up. Because recently I've had several inquiries that they found me through my website. And then I also have the inquiries where, you know, you helped so and so, and they said that you did a terrific job. You know, it's a mix of both. And social media plays a part in that as well. I can't really say one is more than the other.
And would you say that your business currently provides a full-time income for you?
Well, it could if I did it full time. But as the description said, I'm a first generation rancher. So my husband and I started ranching in our 50s. When most people are buying second homes with the beach, we bought a ranch and cows. So not only do I handle 406 digital imaging services, I also help him run 12MT Ranch. So if I did it full time, yes, it probably would have a full time income.
Yeah, and that's another important piece too. Again, for people that are thinking about this as a business, we have many, like, well, we said statistically, right? I think what percentage there, but do it part time or as a side gig, or I guess you probably would see yourself as more part time, not a side gig, because you definitely, this is
Yeah.
definitely, I mean, you invest in training, you come to conference, and you're justifying those costs, I'm sure, in your.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is my business. My husband actually, we were talking about it last night, and he says if you didn't have this, you would go crazy. You'd probably have 25, excuse me, 25 horses. Um, he knows that I needed something to do, that I needed to be able to problem solve and to keep active and to have a community of people that I communicate with and talk to often.
And when you were first starting out, Tammy, did you feel that being new to the rural area made it harder for you to gain trust from potential clients?
Well, okay, so yeah, that's kind of a mixed question. I'm new to the area. I'm considered a transplant in Montana's eyes because even though I'm a Montana native, lived here my whole life, I'm new to the community, kind of, but my husband was born and raised here, and I've been visiting for the last 35 years. But in locals' eyes, in a lot of small populations, you're still a transplant. So I got involved right away with the community, with functions, with events, volunteering, kind of, you know, building those relationships. So that's, and I can't stress that enough. Building the relationships is what really helps this business succeed.
Yeah, there's some more great questions, so I won't say too much. But when I first started my business, I called myself a personal photo organizer, and I wrestled with the idea of personal or professional. And I settled on personal because it's deeply personal work. You get to know your clients really well, and there is, as you go through a client's family photo collection, you're going to know almost more about them than they know about themselves after a while. A lot of our members talk about that, and that's where that trust and then the ongoing repeat customer base comes in. You know, somebody's going to get married and they need a video montage of their family. They're going to go to Tammy, right? Because you already know who's who in the family, and or if there's going to be a memorial service or things like that. So, um, okay,
Yeah. Lives well lived.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
this is a more general question for photo managers in general, in terms of the work that photo managers do. But do you talk to clients or help them or charge them with storage devices such as external hard drives and refreshing that device as technology ages? And do you sell them
In,
hard drives or have them buy them?
I do, uh, when I deliver a project, when I'm completing it, in my project estimate, I take into consideration the cost of whatever device I'm putting that backup copy on. Or if I'm making 3 or 4 or 5 backup copies, I do take that into consideration when I set my estimate. Um, I haven't had clients come to me and say, here's my hard drive that you gave me 3 years ago. Can you redo it? I haven't had a client do that yet. I do have repeat clients that hand me their hard drives and say, here, add the next phase.
We also
So,
have a member, we'll have to get her on too, that I noticed, she now has a team and outside, she has 5 employees, so she's running a very full-time business in San Diego. And when I visited her, she had one person who manages their 20, I think, subscription clients who they go in every month into their iPhone, Apple library or whatever, and just manage their clients' photos. I think they had 20 of them, and they had the list there. And so that's, some people are finding that clients are now, it's almost like a maintenance program. Like, I'm just never going to get to it, so you please do it for me. So I don't know if you have that yet, but I know people are doing that kind of work.
And this next question, I'm gonna have Cathi maybe start off, and then if Tammy, you want to jump in after. But this is a common question that just we get a lot in this industry in general, which is why would or should a potential client use a photo manager as opposed to a company like Legacy Box?
Yeah, that's a great question. I saw that. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. One is like Tammy was talking about, that personal, like these clients, they're not interested in boxing all their photos up and sending it to like a faceless company. The other thing is with that, we always talk like Spirit, like it's like Spirit Airlines or something too, from a cost perspective. If you start to look at the cost, they usually maybe it's like 300 DPI scanning, and then if you want to start to add things like add the metadata, have the photos scanned in the way that they came in, all of those prices are going to be added to the cost at the end of the day. And it's scanning photos is a piece of the puzzle, but it doesn't solve the problem of telling the family stories and things. It's great. We should all have our photos scanned and digitized for safety, but that next step, it's just having, a computer full of JPEGs 001139 or things like that. It's garbage in, kind of garbage out. I mean, it's not really what people want. They just don't know that there's something more that they need. Tammy, would you have any different way of explaining that?
yeah, they don't know what they don't know. And I always say that, you can send it to Legacy Box and you're gonna get back exactly what you send in. It's not going to be organized. There's not going to be keywords added, captions added. It's not going to be organized so you can find it. I'm going to take the extra time and effort to make sure that you have a product that you can pass on to the next generation or 2 generations from now. Yeah. And it's a faceless. They just don't know. I've had people tell me they sent their whole movies off and got them back with no sound.
Or somebody else's.
Um, so, it's just, yeah, we offer that one-on-one client hands-on, uh, lost the word that I wanted to use, but that one-on-one client-centered experience.
And another thing too is it's an investment to know who your target audience is. So the client that wants to use Legacy Box or Costco or Walgreens or wherever, that may not be the right client. So not everybody is the right client for a professional photo manager. We are definitely serving a clientele that is willing to invest in the project. So not everybody is your client, and you may not be the client. You, like a lot of our members say, but I can't imagine you charge what per hour, and I would never spend that. Well, that's because you're not your client's target audience. That's the
Right.
key to remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is sort of a broad question that this person even says might be a little bit too broad, but how much time is spent per client? They understand it's assuming a lot of variables. So a follow-up question to that is, what are those variables? They don't have a ballpark amount or guesstimate, for example, 5 to 50 hours per client. Do you have any thoughts on sort of what the average time?
Oh, what I'm spending for a client, what it takes me to do a
Correct.
project?
Correct.
It depends on the project. And it depends on what estimate. When I provide an estimate to my clients, I give them options. Like I'll give them the bare minimum to do their project. That's usually my A, B, or C. And then I might upsell, I guess you could say, but charge more, but I would add keywords, or I would add more backup copies, or whatever the goals are of that client, I will try to work with them and my estimate. And in my estimate, I look at their contents, and I usually inventory everything. I have little stickers that have numbers on them. I inventory it all. I If they want me to, let's say it's home movies, to edit the clips of the home movies for all the specific events. So I know how long it takes me on average to do that per tape. And then I just average that and I include that in their estimate. And I might include putting it on projector with 3 categories, or maybe I'll put it on projector with 5 categories and 3 backups. I mean, it's just how I tailor the project. So, but when I'm inventorying it, I look at exactly what they want done, whether it's with keywords or whatever, and it could be 50 hours. It could be, I just did one where they didn't want any keywords. They didn't want keywords. They didn't want captions. They just wanted it scanned, file renamed and dated. That's a different time commitment than adding all the keywords and the captions. So
And I think another thing, clients don't necessarily always know what they need. So I think a lot of times for a first client, and also for you, your first 5 to 8 clients, you're going to be nervous. You're going to be unsure of whether you're charging enough. You're going to feel all those anxiety feelings, and you always have some of that in the pit of your stomach. I think, right? As humans, we feel that way. But I think too, educating the client may start out wanting just this, but as they grow to trust you and see what it is that they're getting, they can increase that. I know my son does this full time here in West Hartford in Connecticut, and he does, like, especially with people if they have like 30 tapes or something, he'll do like 10 a month. He'll set up or 5 a month for them and set up a package plan where he'll, based on their budget. So if they can afford $200 a month or whatever it is, he'll just set it out that way. And so that works. I think, I'm sure, Tammy, you've done similar things, right? You help the client meet them where they're at, and then continue to build those relationships so that is once they understand what they're getting, I think then it's not as overwhelming to them to spend the kind of money that we're talking about.
yeah, and that initial conversation with them, whether it's over the phone or through Zoom or whatever, that's where you're really learning what they want. If you could wave a magic wand, what does a completed project look like? What do you want to be able to do with it? So that, that's where the time comes in.
And I'm just grabbing something because I see the next question, and we could answer that question with this. Is that the next question about what people earn? Right.
Mhm.
That's the next one.
Yes.
I can't do it off the top of my head. This was from where am I? Sorry, this was from our survey that we did, and so I just want to make sure I'm giving you the okay. Income wise, we don't guarantee income to a certain level, but we do know that. So from that survey, 26 of our professional photo managers said were making over 50,000 in annual gross revenue, where 1/3 made less than 5,000 per year, and we had 10% of our members that reported that making over 100,000. I think what we noticed is that again, it comes down to. I'm just trying to think if I'd give you a better number than that, but at what point does that start to happen? So again, it's like everything. It depends on how much. I mean, we definitely have members. I know we have one member who's not too far from grossing $1 million in revenue with she has employees and things like that. So I think it does come down to how much time you're putting into working, and then it's also all about like where those standard operating procedures become really important. You do not want to. It's really about efficiencies and understanding your efficiencies, right? If you're scanning a huge project, you want to scan that project as efficiently as possible, or converting home movies, right? And that's what takes some time, and that's a big part of the training that we do. But we do have many members who are earning a good living, and most of them at this point, once they get to that point of you're not going to make a significant living without getting additional help at some point, because one person can't do all of the work over and over again if you're looking to replace like a full-time career income. In time, you're going to want to add, whether it's a subcontractor or, so you're paying an hourly fee, $15 an hour for, a college student or whatever to do your scanning for you. Well, you're charging more than that. Those are key things that happen in all businesses and that are part of the strategy that you'll be working on. Tammy, any other thoughts that you would add to that?
Yeah, that's exactly. I could, yeah, to make, 6 figures or plus, I don't have the bandwidth to do it. I couldn't physically do it with everything else that I do. So.
Right. So the members that are in that kind of level are doing, this is their full-time job, and that's
Mhm.
so there's room for both, really, is the answer to that.
Yep.
And in terms of sort of specific pricing, I mean, again, that varies depending on your experience, where you're located, the clients that you're working with, all sorts of things. But I'd say the average, in terms of, if we're just looking at an hourly rate, I'd say the average is between $60 an hour to $150 an hour, which again, that varies depending on where you are, the clientele you're working with, and all sorts of different factors. And then there was a question here about workshops. Tammy, is this something that you do either sort of locally or in neighboring towns to share with your community about what you do and the services that you offer?
That's a great question. And I don't offer workshops per se, but I did teach with the community education this last fall and spring. So I did enhancing your personal privacy. So that privacy designation, it's a really good thing. I also did mastering your photos. I did that in 3 sessions. And then just recently I did a digital photo organizing session. So I don't offer the workshops, although I have people that I'll run in, we'll go to dinner or something, and they're like, I missed your class, when are you going to do another one? So I just haven't set it up. I haven't taken the time to really investigate it other than the community education piece of it, but it's something in the back of my mind. I mean, I've mulled it over.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to time, knowing that's the other, as a small business owner, one of the things you'll learn too is to really know who you're for, what you want to accomplish, and so Tammy, like, you're clear, you have other responsibilities, that this is your part-time income for you, is because you're also committed to your ranching business. So each person, so you can only do so many things, right? And that's a big part as well. And I think that's the value of community, and learning from other photo managers and what's worked for them, what hasn't. We have an annual conference. It's coming up in 3 weeks. We'll also have it virtually. You're welcome to join us. Come to San Diego. We'd love to have you, or join us virtually. But if you look at our website at the different breakouts and the topics, these are conversations that happen all the time. And the community itself, the photo managing, has really shaped this industry over the years and continue to shape it. And if somebody comes up with a really good idea in Montana, and somebody in Savannah, Georgia, is a peer, and they, like, oh, that's a great idea, I'm going to do that here, and you put your own spin on it. That's the value of being part of an association community, that you're all helping each other and learn from one another. So, well, thank you, everybody. I think that's the end of, we'd love to, again, if you have more questions, you can reach out to us at support. And we are, I notice people are still answering questions in the chat. So thank you so much for your time. We'd love to have you join us. Again, you'll get some emails about our special offer that lasts for, I think, a week and a few days. And, but you're welcome to join at any time. We're here for you, and really hope that we've inspired you. So thank you, Tammy. I really appreciate your time today. Bye-bye, everybody.